Hi everyone, this is Leslie with the Plaid Poodle, and today I'm going to show you how I made this cute little fall, autumn, Thanksgiving grateful card. I started with a card base of 5.5 by 8.5, which I scored at 4 1/4 to make the base. The first layer then is a 2.5 by 5" piece of Moonlight from the DSP stack, and then the final layer that I stamped on is a piece of Whisper White, which is 3 by 4. The first layer is just snailed on directly to the card base. Simple Simon. And then for the stamped layer, I use the Gratitude for Days stamp set, which coordinates with the Gratitude for Days Simply Created kit, which I love also. Makes a nice little Thanksgiving banner. So I use stamps from the Gratitude for Days stamps, which are photopolymer stamps. So I'm going to stamp them onto my little pad here. And I'm using StazOn ink. And there's no rhyme or reason to this card. We just want it to look like the leaves are gently falling from the trees. So I'm just going to stamp a few images. Press that one a little hard, so I'm going to turn this over. It's hard for me to do this without getting my head in the camera, looking directly over the stamp. I think that's all I did on that card, was just 2 of those. I like these photopolymer stamps in that you can just see exactly where your placement is. As you can see, there's really not a lot of intentional areas. And then I'm going to use the tiny little leaf and just kind of fill in. See, I think put another one right here. And then just for fun, I put a couple little acorns on there. Whoops. I put the acorns in the StazOn, and I want to put them in the Early Espresso, which is what the card base is. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I am going to clean my little acorn off here and stamp it a few times here. In the Early Espresso. Just about 3 times, I think, is good. And there we go. That's all the stamping. We're going to put the sentiment on. Just kind of wherever you want to put it. And I did that in an Early Espresso as well. Okay, then what I did to color the leaves in is I used my Stampin' Right markers, and I used Tangelo Twist, one of the in colors this year. And I always tend to use the paintbrush side or the brush side and just use a real light touch, and you can always come back and fill in if you miss a spot. That seems to be easier for me to do, so I don't go outside the lines, because I'm one of those people that drives me nuts if I color outside the lines. But you can just come back where you think you've missed. Kind of take a minute to step back and fill in any open spaces. And then the other color I used was Hello Honey, and it's also an in color this year. This year's in colors are, the new ones are my favorites. I just seem to use them over and over again. And again, just a really light touch. These would make cute little Thanksgiving cards or thank you cards for the fall. And then I did throw in a couple of, with the pumpkin pie marker. It's very similar to the Tangelo Twist, but it's just a little lighter. And on my sample, I did a few more in the pumpkin pie, but I got carried away on this one, but nobody knows but you and me. I think it's cute. Okay. Then I used the linen thread and wrap it around a couple of times, leaving enough to make a bow. And I found, probably cut off more than I need. I found that it was easier to go ahead and adhere the card to my base and then tie my bow than it was to try and tie my bow on the loose card. So I'm going to put a few Stampin' Dimensionals on here. And then I'm going to attach it to my card base. Believe it or not, this was the hardest thing for me to do on this card. Was getting these to be just right. I think I ended up tying a knot right here. But I think it's gonna cooperate for the camera, maybe. There we go. I'm pretty fussy when it comes to bows, and it takes me a while. But this is I'm going to show you my trick that I do when I'm finished. Then for the little embellishment, I just made a small little acorn, and that is made using the Autumn Accents Bigs die for the Big Shot. And I just need a little scrap of the early espresso for that acorn. I'm going to try and get this all in the camera, but I don't know if it's going to be. I should have probably did it sideways. But there's the little acorn, that cute. And then I took the early espresso and a sponge. And I just kind of sponged around the acorn to give it a little bit of dimension and depth. And then on the little cap, I added a little bit more of the early espresso ink with the sponge. I just sponged it on there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not. That's how I did the acorn, and I also attached it to the card using a dimensional. And I want the bow to look like it's tied around that acorn stem. So how I just used a glue dot, a mini glue dot, and I stuck it under that bow. And here's my little tip to get my bows just right. With that mini glue dot, you can kind of manipulate your bow so it looks the way you want it to look. And there you have it. Simple little thank you, grateful Thanksgiving card. Cute. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.